So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a pretty interesting video topic that I wanted to talk about today because it's been on my mind these past few days while playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I've been trying to play it, but honestly, I have been having a lot of trouble playing it without running into many different issues. Now, I love the game. I really do. Honestly, most Call of Duties I really do love. There's only a few CODs where I really feel like I don't have a love for it. But even a game like Modern Warfare from last year, which I really didn't enjoy as a whole, the campaign I still think was phenomenal. And I think Warzone is one of the best things to ever happen to Call of Duty ever. In terms of like the mode itself, it's a really fun mode. But I really just did not like the multiplayer, so that really dragged down my interest in that game as a whole. But Black Ops Cold War came out, and everything was looking so well from, obviously beforehand, like the leaks and stuff, it sounded a little rough, it sounded like there's gonna be a lot of development issues and such, but once they revealed that campaign trailer in, I think it was August 26th, ever since then, I was just all on board, and I was like, this game looks phenomenal, the graphics look outstanding, everything about it looks amazing. The multiplayer trailer came out, wow, I was blown away again. And then they gave us some gameplay, and there was a little bit of, worrisomeness going on there with some of the features and stuff, like the whole score streak system. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? It looks pretty fun. We had the alpha to play, which I actually really enjoyed the alpha. You guys remember when I played it. I had a lot of issues with some things in it, but for the most part, I really did enjoy it. And then the beta came around, and I really enjoyed the beta. Then second weekend of the beta, I was like getting kind of annoyed with a lot of the issues the game had. This is when the issues started to show itself, but again, I kept saying, it's just a beta, it's okay. Full game should fix a lot of these problems. We had the zombies reveal trailer, which again, I was really excited for because it looked amazing. Then the full game comes out, right? And I had fun on it, zombies was really enjoyable to play for the first couple days, and then I started to have some, issues with some of the mechanics zombies had and such, and then I started to be like, mechanics aren't that bad, and I kind of just got, used to it, and then now I actually really like the mechanics in zombies, so it was kind of an interesting roller coaster of emotions when it comes to that. But then the map itself, I still felt to be kind of bland. I still think Die Machine, it's a good map, it's just not the most special thing I've ever seen from zombies before, and I kind of wanted it to be a lot better, but again, it's the first map in this new story, you got to give it the benefit of the doubt a little bit. Multiplayer, I'll get into multiplayer last. Let's talk about campaign first. Campaign, I really liked, but it was almost unplayable on Xbox One because of the amount of crashing and glitches and the laggy cutscenes. It was a rough experience for that, and it was clearly rushed. It was a very short campaign. Not the shortest ever, but it was still relatively short compared to other campaigns, and you could tell there were some places where they cut corners. You can tell the script was rewritten probably a million times. You can tell some of the graphics were a little iffy in some places. You can tell there was just a lot of issues with it because yes, this game was rushed. That's not, a surprise to anyone, but at the same time, every Call of Duty's rushed. And again, we'll get into that. You look at multiplayer, oh my god, the amount of issues with this multiplayer is just insane, but a lot of the issues aren't even like gameplay related. They're just overarching problems like lag compensation and just terrible hit detection and the aim assist being terrible and the amount of crashing I see a lot of people having, not just myself. I've crashed like 100 times playing this game. It's just getting crazy now. The frame rates are just all over the place. Would a lot of these problems be fixed with the next gen console? Most likely, but still they're there for players who don't have them, and it's still a big issue. And that brings me to the topic of this video, where I really don't think it's possible for any Call of Duty to be a perfect Call of Duty, or even close to being perfect, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So we see Call of Duties, they come out and they fix problems that the other game had. Like, for example, this game fixed a lot of issues that Modern Warfare brought to the table, so I'm really glad they did that. But then they just take like 5 steps back somewhere else. It's like they can't just seem to get all the things right, you know what I mean? And I don't know why that is, because yeah, there's some things where part of the community likes it one way, the other part of the community likes it another way, so it is hard to please everyone. But there are some things that unanimously, I believe most people, majority of people like it one specific way, right? There's a lot of things in COD where we all like it that one way, and they just can't seem to get it that one way. There's also obviously the lack of content issue, which is a problem, but obviously I know why they're doing that. They're doing that for player retention. They want us to keep coming back for more, and if they give us too much at launch, they know there's less of a chance of people wanting to come back for more again and again and again. They don't want us to be happy with what we have. They want us to keep asking for more and so we get more excited for DLC. That's exactly why they did it 100%. Also, obviously, the whole, pandemic and such, and the lack of development time that they had on this game. And one thing I noticed is this game is almost the complete opposite of Modern Warfare when you really think about it. Because Modern Warfare, this is obviously my opinion, but Modern Warfare to me has really solid graphics. It runs really smoothly. The frame rates are usually pretty good. Hit detection's fantastic. That's all solid, right? But then the gameplay itself, to me, at least in multiplayer, is some of the worst gameplay I think we've ever gotten in a Call of Duty game ever. I think it plays and runs terribly in terms of how the gameplay flows. And just because of the ideas the developers brought to the table with these mechanics and such, I just think they're terrible, right? I really do. That's my opinion. If you guys have seen my review on it, you would know. But then you go to Black Ops Cold War, and it's like the complete opposite. The ideas behind the mechanics and how they flow and how they work, I think are really solid, but they're not playing nicely together because you have a lot of other issues in other places with like the frame rates, with the game just not running smoothly, with all these bugs and glitches. And it's just like, why can't we have, two good things? Why can't we have everything like running well while also playing well and having good, mechanics and such? And I think it all dials down to one specific thing, and it's a pretty obvious reason. It's the yearly release cycle. They only have a certain amount of time to make these games, and they are always going to come out with that game at that same time, and Activision does not even let them try for another couple months. The most they've ever delayed a COD is like by a month or something, because I heard, this is rumors obviously, but Black Ops Cold War was actually originally supposed to come out in October, just like Modern Warfare and Black Ops 4 did, but obviously because of everything going on, they gave them an extra month. Just a month, just a measly month, when this game clearly needed more time than that. Now, to me, the lack of content issue, I'm okay with that as long as we get better DLC in the long term. Like, I don't think they should delay the whole game just because of a couple maps, which I don't think that's the reason they're delaying them anyways. I'm pretty sure it's the reason I mentioned before. But when it comes to bugs and glitches and crashes, if the game is not polished and it's not ready to go because of all these issues, we have a big problem. And that they should be delaying the game for that. Even if it's just for one console, they should still be delaying the game for those problems. And they just don't do it. They just don't, because Activision wants these games to come out at these specific times, and they don't want any negotiating. None. I think Activision needs to realize that you don't need a game every year to be successful, to still be there. I mean, look at these games that are coming out recently. You got stuff like Fortnite. It's a very live servicey type game, and COD's clearly been trying to imitate that in some ways, especially with Warzone. And I think after Warzone came out, I don't know why they couldn't just accept the fact that they could delay this premium title for another year. They have so many things on their plate. Modern Warfare 2 Remastered came out, right? The campaign, they had the multiplayer there. Apparently they made it, right? Why not release that instead? You could release that if you haven't made, maybe it's not polished or whatever, but maybe work on it a little bit more. Have that released, give Cold War another couple months, and then release Cold War. Or hell, just keep updating Warzone for another while. Maybe add some Zombies DLC to Modern Warfare to give us some zombie stuff, so we're a little bit more excited for Zombies when Cold War releases. And there you go. Give Cold War, drop it in March of 2021 or something. I don't know. I feel like Activision's just really stressing out the devs, and I really hate when people blame the devs for this stuff, but it has nothing to do with them. I'm sure they would love to have another couple extra months to work on the game. I'm sure they would absolutely adore that, but they just can't. Now, the game itself, the foundation, Cold War's foundation is incredible, but it's just not playing out well because it's clearly being rushed to hell. There's so many problems with it. It's almost unplayable in some instances, not just in multiplayer, even in Zombies and campaign. There's so many issues. Now on some consoles it's not as bad, right? But I even hear people complaining on next gen that there's a lot of issues. Some of the same bugs still apply, and they're consistently updating it because they have to, I'm sure in like a few months it'll be in a good state, but it's already being tainted by the terrible reputation it's going to be getting because of this launch. Now, I wouldn't say this is the worst launch Call of Duty's ever had. There's probably been worse ones. I think World War II's launch was pretty rough. Really think about it. I think every Call of Duty has had a pretty rough launch. It's never been perfect. You even go back to like Modern Warfare 2. I remember there being really bad server issues back in Modern Warfare 2 when it first came out. These CODs have always had these type of issues because, again, they're forced yearly like this, And if they didn't do that, if they kind of just gave them more breathing room, it would turn out much better. Look how many games are coming out that have been delayed. You have Halo Infinite being delayed, Cyberpunk being delayed, you know, the Avengers game that came out recently was delayed. All these games are being delayed because these developers and the producers, they understand. They're like, okay, we're gonna delay it a little bit, you know, we're gonna give it some more time because we want this game to be as good as it can possibly be. You know how much better Call of Duty could be if they just did that? But every year we're seeing the same thing where Call of Duty releases in a pretty rough state, and then a couple months later it gets better and it's actually playable, you know? Why should we be waiting this long to get a playable game? Again, it's not a big deal. It's not enough for me to stop buying the game, but it's enough for me to be like, I would really have a much better time in the first couple months of these games. I think Call of Duty would just get a much better reputation in general if they just released like that. But the simple reason why they're not doing that is because people still buy it. It's still the #1 selling game most years. It's still doing incredible. Warzone's still huge, so they have no reason not to keep doing this. No matter how, you know, horrible the games are in terms of, you know, stability when they launch, it doesn't matter. People are going to buy it anyways because COD has some amazing marketing and trailers, and it already has a name for itself. People are always going to buy the new Call of Duty, no matter what. It's playable, right? It is. But in some cases, sometimes it just becomes really obnoxious to even try to play, and I honestly lose motivation to play every time I hop on and I just run into some game-breaking glitch because, yes, this game is very glitchy, very laggy, all over the place. But I do enjoy it. I still enjoy it, and that's really selling something. If it's really enjoyable even with all these problems, that's really saying that the developers really did a great job in terms of designing the mechanics and the maps and how the game flows. I'm really digging all that, right? But the game's just being dragged down by the clear unpolishedness of it, which is really unfortunate. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.